Welcome back to re-establishing the state of things with Mabini,
Yeah.
where he talks about his stupid freaking comic.
Must have been when I started doing Hurricane 12, so much for being a superhero, that I started really thinking about what actually. I started working on what I wanted KJ to be, and what the original Hurricane was, because his backstory was very vague and unclear. Like in the first comic, is he in high school? Is he in college? What the heck's going on here?
Does it matter?
It matters to me, so it matters.
Okay.
And so I started to think, alright, well, you know, especially in Hurricane 12, like I break some serious ground in terms of the original Hurricane's backstory by introducing his father, who had been in prison for 30 years. So it's like, okay, hang on, what's going on? So I started really cracking into that. And so when I recently updated the wiki page, I went, all right, let's really write what Kane's life was like when he was with his birth parents, and what his life was like then, and then after his mum was killed and his dad went to prison, what his life was like with his adoptive parents, and how he became how he kind of became the way he was in the last few comics that he was the main character. Because he kind of didn't really want to be a superhero, but he also kind of did. He was pretty conflicted about it, because what actually happened was he wanted to build himself up to being a certain way. He wanted to be able to say, I am the lawyer, and I have a family, I've got a son, I've got all this, and I worked for it. And the one time that he almost lost it all, when in Hurricane 5 the Warper almost killed him, he retired after beating the Warper, and he retired for 15 years. Because he was like, I'm not losing anything. I'm not gonna take that risk. I'm gonna not get involved. And so he had his powers for like 15 years and never used them. But then also his relationship with his powers was also like that. Like when he first discovered his powers after his mum died and his dad went to prison, he did not want to have anything to do with them. He thought they were weird. He didn't know what to do, and he spent a lot of his life isolated. And so he didn't feel like he felt that he didn't belong even more. So then he met his wife. He worked away at becoming a lawyer, and things started to work out, and he became a bit confident. But then, it's like I really cracked into things with the wiki page and updating it.
Yeah.
Like I think it's really important to write the emotional story of a character, so that you can know their emotional state and what they're going to be like in a certain situation. So like maybe they're a little bit hesitant or something like that because of stuff that's happened. Maybe they're unsure of what to do, like KJ is, or he will be when the comics come out. And I think that's really good to knowing how to write a story, is knowing the emotional state of the characters, because
Of course.
then do they have motives? Do they have strong motives?
The motive can be
what's
anything.
going through their head?
Yeah.
That's really
That's always
important.
good. Always keep in mind, like, what are they thinking at all?
What's it like to be them?
Yeah.
And that bit's really important. And I realised that when I'm running I realised that in Hurricane 18, there's only two characters that I have not established. Basically two characters from previous comics that will be in Hurricane 18. And that's KJ and his grandfather. Because they're in India, like all of their American family and friends and all that, they're all in America. And so there's just going to be the superhero guild, all the people revolving around that. That's going to be it. So writing those characters and thinking about their emotional states and things like that. And so working away at that sort of thing. And I've also started thinking about coming up with a bit of a hierarchy of, because I talked about it in my Friday Night Fun, where the main characters are the ones that you really want to make sure that you understand what it's like to be them. Side characters, you can be general with them, and maybe broader subjects, you can be a bit general with that, but just have a bit of an idea of what direction those things are going in as time progresses in your story.
I'll say there is no harm in like fully fleshing out every character.
Yeah.
But there is harm in fully exploring those characters in the book itself. You know, if it helps you get an idea of like a gauge of where they're at and stuff, you know, go for it. Go ham. Give them extremely detailed backstories.
Yeah.
I have a character or two like that, but you know, it's not going to be shown in the story itself. You know.
Yeah. That's what I've got. Yeah, it might be casually mentioned, but it's not something that we'll dive deep into and really crack into. But even though it's really interesting and a very exciting subject, which is pretty much the entire of the story of Superhero Guild, because they're like the good old days. That's what their sort of thing is. A bit reflective, and so KJ comes in and it's like the new good old days, except kind of just a different time, a new time, new era. I want Hurricane to be a sort of a global sort of story where it's like where I'm thinking about the different countries in the world of Hurricane and what they're up to, and the superheroes around the world and what they're up to. Because one thing that will be important to the story is the superhero charts, because at some stage KJ will want to be the best superhero. So the numbers will become important to him, and they will be very important to one of the characters who'll be in Hurricane 18.
Right.
But that character takes it way too seriously.
But yeah, but that's their character.
Yeah, so that's their character. They're obsessed with it. They're always checking it. It matters so much to them, and other people are telling them not to worry so much about it. Just try and like be the best you can be. Don't get so worried about what the numbers are saying. You know, the numbers will come when you're the right thing. When you're capable, and like one of the other characters is. I'm getting really close to having a strong idea of what Hurricane 18 is going to be like.
That's good.
Yeah, and so...
idea where you want it to begin
and end. I think the
smooth.
main characters, I think I've mostly got them sorted out. But now it's just things like the side characters, the world around them. I want to write that and sort that out. Because I want it to be a sort of a dynamic world, where the things around them are changing, and even remembering that I've got Data in the background doing her little thing, and then that will become important at some stage in the future, whenever it does. I've got to remember where all the pieces of my puzzle are, and what they're all doing.
Well, it's good to have, you know.
Yeah.
I'm really glad to hear that you're working on it so much.
Mm.
And that you have all these bits that you're considering and working with, and trying to make it the best that you can.
Yeah.
I would like to start working on Cast to that extent soonish, but there's a lot of projects I'm working on right now. Cast is number one priority for the most part, but there are, I'm trying to. This is my first week kind of getting into work.
Yeah, with your new plans.
With my new plans and my new office and everything.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a funny video. I like that.
Yeah, thanks. So this first week I've been kind of crossing off a lot of things on my list of things to do, but soon I want to just work on Cast and make a bunch of pages at once. Like I'm thinking like maybe I'll do like a week where all I do is work on pages. I wanna do like a writing session with you where I wanna like work on the backstories of some certain characters.
We could certainly do that. I'm getting rosters now, so my weeks are looking more clear all the time. Even though I was texting a friend of mine this morning. He was because he's trying to write an article for my personal magazine, and he I said, how's that coming along? And he said, oh, when's it due? So I said, alright, well I want it done by the end of the month, so
there we go.
So if you can get that done, then that'd be good. And he said, oh, I don't know, I might have to ditch the article that I'm writing and come up with something else for the next issue.
Oh, really?
So I'm like, alright.
Why?
And he, I don't know. I guess he just, I don't understand why you would like abandon it entirely, but I guess he's stuck on it. But like, I was stuck on Hurricane. And
Yeah.
you know, 3 years later, it's looking pretty good.
Well, you know, it is ultimately a personal project. It's all
Yeah.
personal projects. You know. The amount of priority and time you put into it is entirely up to you.
Yeah.
You have no one to answer to.
He said, when are you available? In what's your week looking like next? And I'm like, all right, well, so Monday I got nothing going on. Tuesday and Wednesday I've got shifts. Thursday and Friday I've got my course, and then Saturday no plans. It's like, wow, you're busy.
That's
I'm
good.
like, oh, yeah, I am.
It's nice to be busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel busy. I just think I do my things.
Having at least one thing to do a day is.
I think it's just because I don't have homework, so I don't, and that because at uni it was all you.
Oops.
Like, you're at uni, you do your lectures, you do your tutorials, and then you go home and you do your assignments. And your work chases you around all the time. It's all about the work. And now that I've got these structured programs of work and doing the course, those things don't require me to do anything outside of when I'm there. It doesn't feel like a big workload, because then all the other stuff is stuff that I just put on myself, like working on my comics and helping dinner. I was also thinking about, because I've done this thing lately since Howcam 15 came out, where I write this thing called The Tale of, or Fun Facts about the development of this latest comic. So I did it for 15 and 16, where like 15 was called Fun Facts about Howcam 15, and then the next one was called The Tale of Howcam 16. And then I've realised that Howcam 18 has gone through so many changes, I'm going to have to start thinking about what the changes were that I've made. Like, some of it is the same as it was when I started with it, and then other bits are very, very different. I think it's going to be a really long journal to post on DeviantArt.
Stories I could talk about, all my projects, I'll tell you what. Especially Cass as well. I've always wanted to do this. I kind of want to make a video on my drawing channel talking about what it takes to make a page, or just like what I've learned from making a comic, things that you might not expect or know.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
for
it's
instance, the length of time it takes to make a page.
Yeah.
Like, it's like there's so many things that are so obvious, but you don't think about it until you're there. Like, for instance, like the more people that you have to draw in a comic, the more time it's going to take.
Yeah.
Even if you're just drawing the same character over and over again for multiple panels, like I did for the page that I made this week, it's still going to take a while.
Yeah.
It's a panel that's like not very complicated, or a page that's not very complicated, but like it took like two days to make, or like 3 days even. So that.
Were you doing other stuff? Was it you just doing that?
I was just doing that while I was working on it.
Okay.
With my projects, I try and make it that I work on one at a time. I'm
Yeah.
not a multi-project person.
Because usually when I really get cracking on producing a comic, and like I've drawn it up, I've written all the stuff in it, and then I start making the actual pages, I get that done in about 3 days. I'm all scan it in, start colouring and making the first page, then the second page, and then just keep going through that.
Well, I mean, and that's the ultimate thing as well. The video that's interesting is that, you know, obviously if people that are making their comics, everyone's got a different like layer of like what they want to do. I don't want to go in here right now. That's a bad place to go.
So I release my little promotional pictures while I'm doing that. So it's like a good way of keeping track of how long I've been working on.
See, I wouldn't want to
actually
do that
making it.
because it would just remind me how long it's taking.
Yeah, well, I don't. The promotional pictures are only sometimes completely new pictures. Otherwise, they're just bits that I've taken out of the comic and been like, hey, I made this today. This looks nice. I'm gonna put this up on DeviantArt.
That's pretty cool, dude. You know what's even cooler?
The end of the episode.
That's right. Bye.
Bye.